Okay. Thanks for that.
I like to ask a question.
Okay, go ahead with your question real quick.
What do you know about the reptilian agenda? Since I've been a part of this, I've had alien experiences twice, 2 UFO experiences.
Okay, he probably couldn't answer the alien agenda question. And someone else with a question quickly. Please.
My name's Tom. Can you hear me? Can I ask a question?
Go ahead, Tom. We can hear you with the question.
Okay. Well, this is just amazingly interesting, Bryan. I'd like to, see. I'd like it to see this get out into the public, and I just thought that William Benny is an NSA whistleblower, and he's sided with TIs, and he's doing a survey, and I think it would be good for you to become part of that, in his survey, and even the possibility of somebody like Edward Snowden or Julian Assange of WikiLeaks. This would be good information to give to them, and I think by siding with William Binney, I think it would be very credible. I'm just wondering how you would feel about that type of connection.
Absolutely. Yeah, go ahead.
I guess. I was just wondering how you would feel about connecting with those type of ex-intelligence people.
Are you familiar with William Binney and Kirk Wiebe, Bryan?
Yes, I am. Yeah, thank you, Tom, for your question. Yes, I am, Derek. I am familiar with William Binney. I do not know him personally. I have not spoken to him personally yet. I have had third parties try to get us in contact with each other. So that is something I'm definitely open to in the future, and I will be pursuing that.
Oh, very good.
Yeah, very good. Okay, we have a minute left.
That's something I'd like to say.
Okay, go ahead, Terry.
Hi, Bryan. My name's Terry. I run a website called StopGangStalkingCrimes.com, and I'm really pushing hard for all TIs to get out and work very hard at bringing public awareness up by passing out flyers, wearing T-shirts, signs on their autos. What do you think about that? Do you not think that's the drive that we should all be working on right now, is bringing up public awareness from the ground up?
Absolutely, Terry. Yeah, that's a great idea, and I will check out your website for sure. I agree 100%. I think the way to fight this thing is to get out into the streets, to make T-shirts, pass out pamphlets and flyers. I think the way that they are controlling this is they're keeping it on the Internet, and the only people that find out about it are people that already know about it and go on the Internet to look up information. That's the way I deal with gang stalkers. I do it face-to-face out in the streets, and I don't try to hide anything. I'm very upfront with them and anybody else who might be listening, who these people are and what they're doing. And I think we need more people like you doing that. So I will definitely support your efforts and try to spread the word to get people out there more than they are now, and hopefully we can make some progress.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Finn. Looks like we've completed our interview with you, Bryan. And thanks so much for again, for being with us at this time. And this is a very important interview, lots of very good information. I know it is being recorded, so a lot of people can make great use of this information that you've shared tonight, Bryan. So hopefully at some point you'll be able to return, because there are lots of, obviously there's lots of unanswered questions. But if you're willing, maybe you can come back sometime and spend some time again with us and answer a few more questions.
Absolutely. Yeah, I would love to, Derek, anytime. Just let me know.
Okay, great. Appreciate you being with us.
Okay, thank you, Derek. Talk to you later.
Okay, be in touch. Bye-bye.
Love you, bro.
All right, bye-bye.
Hello, Derek.
Yes, hi.
This is Sally, and I didn't get a chance to break in to ask this question, but it seems to me that this apparatus is probably located on military bases, the main apparatus.
Could be.
What main apparatus are you talking about?
It could be. Apparently it is being rolled out on military bases across the U.S. Exactly which ones, I'm not sure, but for those of you that live near military installations, you would understand that.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. We could have, a brief discussion time about the call if you like, and maybe we'll wrap up early tonight. We tried to, to get as many questions answered as we could. Brian is just one person, and but he'll be back with us again. He's becoming a part of the community, and I believe that he's in for the long haul. So if you didn't get your question answered tonight, rest assured that you'll get a chance to ask, again at a later time. Okay. So I think we covered a lot tonight and this past 2.5 hours. Excuse me, about some congestion here. Okay. Are there more questions, comments about his presentation?
Derek.
Yeah.
This is Tom again.
Hi, Tom.
Hi. I was on the call last Saturday. I came in at the end of it when you were discussing about being in contact with him, and or what last week, I forget which day it was. Lo and behold, you were able to be in touch with him.
Yeah,
and
by some miracle. It wasn't easy.
Wow, that's wonderful. I hope he's in it for the long haul, and
well, he intends to be.
He seems to know it. He's able to answer everybody's questions in a wide variety of issues that we face, and he's even brought some new angles into why we're being targeted and what this targeting is all about. And I think that's very, very, very good at the social engineering aspect of it. Especially when I look at all the years I've been targeted, there's a purpose behind this. And
he explained that people are selected.
People are making money off it, getting rich off it too, and
probably yeah.
But I think that would be a great. I think it's one of the great things about to happen is William Binney's survey, and I haven't had a chance to fill it out yet, but I've been in contact and planning on doing that. But I actually met William Binney once at the Left Forum a few years ago.
Oh, you did? Oh, that's
yes,
right.
I did, and I told him about this, and he was very interested. And I told him what was happening to me, and he was very, very interested. And but he had to run off and catch a plane, so I really didn't get a chance to talk to him after he was on a panel, and but he seemed very, very interested. And I said, boy, this would be fantastic. And then lo and behold, he gave a presentation at the in Belgium at that Mind Control conference, with and now it's this. So I think it was like when he was when he first became a whistleblower, it took many years for him to be validated of what he had said was true, and he probably, was persecuted quite a bit, and now he's defending us to a certain extent. I think that could be and with this Bryan is just so well spoken that I think that he has a lot to say, and that would quite give us
hold on
credibility. That would give us a lot of credibility, I think. Hello? Did we go offline?
No.
Hello? I don't want to keep talking forever, but...
I think Derek said hold on for a minute.
Okay.
Tom, are you still there?
Yes, I'm still here.
Sorry, I'd take that call, but go ahead.
Yeah, I think that he's a very nice man, William Binney. I when I met him, I never forget that meeting. But the fact that there's this survey, it just seems like that could give us a lot of hope with somebody like him backing us, because we've been going through this for so many years, but I think this could be a good thing. And I think, through William Binney, maybe somebody like even Julian Assange or something could release documents that would, validate what some of the things that Bryan is saying. And I think just like he was able to do for William Binney, when Binney was called a liar and everything else and discredited, but Edward Snowden and Julian Assange sort of made what he first said was the truth, shocking truth. But that's why people are going to prison, like who was it, Chelsea Manning, well, he originally was like for 35 years, and they got pardoned, thank God. But for telling the truth, that anybody's a whistleblower, they really come after hard, as like Bryan's being targeted right now. It's so.
Well, this is kind of different, Tom. This is more than telling the truth. This is something that affects everybody personally. It's not just documents, government documents that people can read online and say, oh, that's nice. This is something that affects everybody directly.
Okay.
This is a very important event that is rolling out here, And,
well, it is.
I mean, this is, he's talking about...
the deep state. The deep state.
Just that there's 1 to 2 million people that was floated around the office, 1 to 2 million victims. So that kind of gives us some numbers to work with that we haven't had before.
Yes.
Wow. It's not only the TI victims, to me he's confirmed the takeover of this country, which I've always thought was happening, but really it was kind of an assumption. But, it's really hitting me hard that theory is closer to the truth than I've ever heard, and I'm really devastated. I mean, I'm just sitting here. It's like I can't deny it anymore. I can't assume. Now I'm really thinking this is real, this takeover of this country. Just before that conversation opens up, Derek, I want to thank you for moving those questions along so well. You really did a good job keeping that rolling. Thank you.
Oh, well, thanks. I appreciate that. I tried to get as many questions answered as I could. I would probably have did it a different way, but whatever. People got a lot of the questions answered. But, we don't have to have all of our questions answered tonight, okay? He does plan to be with us. Hopefully we can get some donations so that he can be in a safer environment than being parked by the side of the road or wherever he's at, and in a car where he's vulnerable. So, and he's also mentioning that he would prefer donations that could reach him instantly, like a Western Union or something, because PayPal would take a couple of days, and he wants to get rolling pretty quick. So he wants to get $100 in gas, if possible. That would get him rolling, and to Phoenix, Arizona is his destination at this time. So, guys, whatever you could do. I have made a donation myself, I will say. And so hopefully we can get enough that if we can get, and I gave him 10, I will just say that. If we get 10 more people to give him 10, he'd have 100. I mean, 10. I'm not the greatest at math, right? 9 more people to give him 10, we'd have 100. So, so he would be on the road, and that's all he needs to get to Phoenix. So there it is. That's the goal. But anyway, I think Bryan did a very good job. He was very, very thorough in the answers that he gave of what he knew about. And what he's talking about is a very extensive program of social engineering, as he calls it. So I do know that some people have passed around the recording that we did last week, the podcast. So I would only assume that this podcast will get passed around as well. So hopefully this will, get passed around far and wide. So perhaps some relevant, important eyes and ears will receive this information.
Yeah, hey, Derek, this is Dutch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, hey, it sounded like reading your letter, the bulletin, that you may have his private number. I don't need it. It just remind him that I'm close to the border, Reading here to Oregon, it's only a couple 100 miles, and then wherever he's at, above there, he can come to my place, spend the night or spend a week. Let him know that if you do talk to him again privately.
Dutch.
Yeah.
He's not near where you're at. He's in Colorado.
Oh, okay. All right. He's okay. Gotcha. So okay. Well, the thought was there anyway. So
sure,
okay.
Absolutely, that's much appreciated. That's
okay. Well, I'll step aside just so someone else can speak. All right, thank you.
Okay, appreciate your offer.
All righty.
Okay, is somebody trying to speak?
Well, this is still Tom McClelland. I'm still on, and I guess I think we were talking about him being in contact with William Binney, which he mentioned he planned to in the future, and he's heard about him, and so I think that would be a credible thing to do. I think possibly somebody who would expose this would be like this mass social engineering that's been going on that he's exposing and that all of us TIs are a part of. I think that this is huge, and this is like something that might be like the church committee hearings or something like that, or could be, and I think that it's something that needs to be exposed, and some like maybe possibly the Electronic Frontier Foundation. They might be, I think, one group to contact. WikiLeaks, maybe this information could be sent to them. Julian Assange's organization.
Can I ask something?
Yes.
Am I the only one that's concerned for his safety? That I was hoping that he could skip the country like Julian Assange and Snowden did. That if somebody's going to blow the whistle at such proportions, I was hoping that he wouldn't have to remain in the U.S. I just fear that I just fear for his safety so much.
I think that's I think his safety would be a valid point. That's he's risking his life. I think. And even traveling in a car, he could be targeted.
Yeah, I just fear that blowing the whistle on it's such an important topic to blow the whistle on. I just fear he's marked, and I when Snowden and Assange, he blew the whistle, they skipped town completely, and I just wish that he could do the same.
Well, I don't know. I mean, it sounds like they were working for the government, like contractors, and they had top secret government information that they were exposing, corruption, but.
And they were able to leave the country when they blew the whistle, and I fear that maybe he doesn't want to, but I just fear that he should leave the U.S. I think.
Well, I mean, Bryan is not wanted by the law. He's not. As far as I know, there are no warrants for his arrest, and the police are not looking for him. He will probably be somewhat safer overseas, but then he would probably be not as effective as being here.
And I guess I thought maybe he could be as effective by long distance because of the other two I just mentioned are very effective. But if I just fear for his life. That's that's all.
Well,
Thank
Snowden could be a lot more effective if he was here. Right now, he has tremendous appeal, but that's because he has notoriety, and he does because he has government documents to back up his claim. Let's see. Bryan doesn't have government documents probably that I know of, but he does have a compelling story.
Mm-hmm.
And if he's able to convince some others to jump ship, the way that he did, he'd have something really compelling, but at the same time not illegal. So he's not at risk of arrest. So like Assange would be, and like Snowden would be. So he doesn't really have to leave the U.S.
That's
So he just basically has to elude the group stalkers, which are hassling him at the moment. I'm not sure how, and they're probably trying to frighten him and intimidate him. Whether they'll really carry out those threats, we don't really know. And he doesn't either, and he suspects that it's intimidation, but he doesn't really know whether they'll carry out those threats or not. But in his position, though, he is very vulnerable, and he needs to be in shelter. And if he was there, he could more easily assess the situation and decide what his options are. But right now, he's very vulnerable.
I came up with a crazy idea, Derek. Somebody mentioned his driving to Phoenix. That's very real. I have a crazy idea. What happens if we get some people to just follow him on the highway along the way for a couple of hours?
He's going
crazy, right?
Is he really?
Well,
we got people in Denver, we got people in Colorado Springs. I don't know about New Mexico. New Mexico, I'm not sure. He's going to take the southern route, so we'd be going through Santa Fe, Albuquerque, areas like that.
Well, it's possible. We'd have to talk about that maybe Monday or something.
Just an hour down the highway following him, or 2 hours in case something happens. Turn around and come back, and then the next I know it's crazy. It's really crazy. But it's a good point, the woman who just brought that up, because that drive can be very desolate, especially the part coming out of Colorado, going through New Mexico. It's all desert. You can go hours without seeing anything.
That could be true. Yeah, it sounds like a dangerous trip.
Unless he goes through the mountains, but that in itself it's a harder drive. But I've taken that drive a lot to Tucson, and it's desolate.
Mm-hmm.
Almost scary desolate, even if you have a cell phone.
Mm-hmm.
Just a thought.
Yeah. Well, we need some volunteers in Colorado or New Mexico, or
I don't know anybody in New Mexico. Do you?
Oh well, there are a few.
It would have to be Santa Fe, Taos. Albuquerque's a little too west. God, it's in Truth and Consequences. You go through nothing towns. Nothing.
Hmm.
I suppose he could be going through the mountains. That way you're going to run into a lot more people that way. Except coming through Grand Canyon down to Phoenix, and then that's a little desolate. But I don't know any other way but those two ways.
The Grand Canyon down to Phoenix?
Well, you can go across the mountains, like through Aspen, and it's mountainous. Very mountainous, and you go through the Independence Pass, which is scary as hell, almost like one lane, and then you go to Utah, and then you go south. But you're passing through the mountains, you're passing through ski areas, you're passing through areas where people live. But it takes longer, too. It's a harder drive. It's not, the other way is all highway.
Yeah, I don't know, Barbara. We'd have to see, who would be willing to do something like that. The most active person I know in Colorado is Santu, and Mark. Well, I probably shouldn't mention his name, but there's a guy in Colorado Springs that might be interested in helping. I'd have to run this by him. But other than that, I don't know.
It was a long shot. Just an idea came to my brain.
Oh.
Phoenix, Arizona seems like a dangerous place to go nowadays with Homeland Security and everything.
It does.
I don't know. It seems like there's, things are getting worse there with the immigrant situation, so there's going to be a lot more militant the type of people who we might think are the types who are targeting us in that area, more concentrated, I would think. I don't know, but that's what I'd think. With Homeland Security and everything, they're pretty. That Sheriff Arpaio or something. What a horrible person. Okay. Yeah, there are a lot of. I just hope he's going to be safe there. There might be some good people there, who are fighting against them.
He'll probably be all right in Phoenix, at least as well as other places.
I hope so. I don't know, because of the immigrant situation now and the border wall supposedly being built, and with Donald Trump.
Oh, that is such nonsense, though. I don't know if that's really going to fly.
Well, it is nonsense, but they're serious about it. I mean, another thing about Trump, as we're talking about Trump, there's an article that came out recently about the young Donald Trump, whose father's youngest brother is named John Trump. He, this is really weird. I've thought about this, how far it possibly could go, about the reading about this young Donald Trump and his association with his uncle, who his middle name is Donald John Trump. He was in the Manhattan Project in New York. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of that. He was, and I heard part that to make the atomic bomb, and young Donald Trump became very close to him. He might have been one of the head leaders of this project, one of the top physicists, and he had connections to some of Telsa's patents, which were used to make the trigger for the atomic bomb.
Yeah, there was something about Tesla's project. And there was a correlation there. Yeah, okay.
So now, MK Ultra seemed to have grown out of the Manhattan Project, that the security people, the security that ran, kept the security for the Manhattan Project, became kept the security for the MK Ultra project. And I think that a lot of what we're, at least on my end, I haven't, as much as happened to me, I haven't gone into a lot of it. But I think that I think that there could be a connection. I mean, there's some devious things that happened, with MK Ultra, and since most of the records were destroyed, the 130 some odd projects there were, basically the only thing that came out of it was like maybe Frank Olson getting doused with LSD and pushed out of a window, and others. But it was much more. It went far beyond what I believe what was exposed. A lot of it was covered up, church committee hearings and everything. So I don't know. Just I could see how Donald Trump could have a connection. To me, he's a very sinister person, and I think there were probably sinister people back in, why everything now is so secret. And I think that possibly Donald Trump has more information, than we realize, connections, possibly because of his uncle. And then his father's lawyer was connected with Richard Nixon, and Richard Nixon was vice president when MK Ultra began. So I guess it seems like we can talk all about what's happening to us, but I think that we have to convince people. We need a whistleblowers or something, that sort of a thing, to be effective. And I think that somebody like William Binney is a good person to have on our side.
Yeah, William Binney and
the other man.
Right.
The other that's part of this survey. Kirk. Weeby. Okay. But anyway.
And Bryan.
And Bryan, right.
He's definitely a whistleblower.
He definitely is. What about that guy who was going across the United States? He seems like he would fit in with Bryan to a certain degree. If you remember who I'm talking about?
You're talking about David Voigt.
Yes, I am. Is he's still going, I think. I don't know.
No, not right now. You're talking about David Voigt. Derek, did you know that Linda's number, people on Linda's number are trying to get unmuted and they can't, and it's a mess because a lot of people are talking and then you guys keep talking and can't hear them. Anyway, I just wanted to say this. I was targeted heavily on the Navajo reservation. I enjoy driving across country where there are less people rather than more people. If he can run into some good TIs, that's one thing. But I do enjoy that. But I was heavily targeted. So he had I saw someone working when I came out of the restroom in one of a stop, and then I had to drive about 100 miles before I got to another stop. And during that time, I was in a motorhome with a U-Haul and a truck on the back. And what he had done, I knew he had done something, but I couldn't figure out what it was. And it was pulling funny, so I stopped in the middle of nowhere, and my truck was halfway off the U-Haul. So he had messed with the strap there. But so you can't. That's the only place I would I would avoid is the Navajo Reservation. It's pretty big, but apparently there are perps in that area. Anyway, I was going to add that. You all were talking about at that time, the different routes. People did try to accompany David Voigt while he was doing his walk across the country, and he got about halfway, I think. I'm not sure what he's now, but he's heavily targeted. His family has been targeted, so he's kind of put a stop to it for now, but he'll probably get back into it too. Anyway, I don't know what's going on with these calls, because after Bryan left, Linda and Donna and others were trying to get unmuted, and they couldn't. So I don't know what's going on.
Well, I don't know why they can't unmute. If they're in this call, they just press *6. They can self-unmute.
Yeah, they'll have to call in again. I just hung up from Linda's number, because I called in on Linda's number. I didn't know you were doing it tonight. So when I couldn't get unmuted either, I thought, well, this is crazy. So I called in on your regular Saturday and Monday number. That was the only way it worked.
Okay. Well, if they want to, I'm not sure what the issue is. If they're talking and want to be heard, they'll have to call in like you did.
Derek, if they called in like I do with a group of people, sometimes the conference call for people that their phones won't work and they've been calling the conference calls, whoever called your call has to be the one to unmute. Only that person can unmute to get for everybody to speak that's on the conference call that called in.
Yeah,
so
but they can self-unmute, though, so that's not really an...
Well, that's what I mean, but it has to be the person that actually dialed into this call that unmutes, and they'll unmute the whole group.
That is true. That is true. So whoever is called in would have to do that.
Can I say something about my call? Hello?
Yeah. Yeah.
The thing was, we had a guest who said, "Would you like me to stream Derek's call so we could all listen to it from there?" Because they kept sending people over to the call, and it got very confusing. And even if you were unmuted, but you couldn't be heard because this call was streaming over to my room. It wasn't that nobody could talk and be heard in Derek's room from my room. Does that make sense?
No. Yeah.
Why am I hearing this? Lonnie, can you hear me? We weren't trying to cut you out, and we weren't trying to keep anybody from talking. Nobody could ask questions from my call. I hope that was okay with you that we streamed your call, Derek. People wanted to hear it.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah, absolutely.
Good. Okay. Okay, I'm going back to my call now because I got to take care of that room. Thanks, Derek.
Okay, you're welcome.
Do you think we should get off and let Linda have her call?
That's fine with me.
Just asking. Are you going to do tomorrow night now or not?
I was thinking of, I thought Linda said she was going to come over here, and if she was, I was going to let Linda do tomorrow night. But it looks like she is running her call.
Yeah, she is.
So,
yeah.
I don't know. I might let Frank do it. Well, no, Frank probably already did his call. I have to think about that. If I do, it'll probably be for a short time, not the entire time. Because even if I didn't do the call, there'd be a lot of people calling in that would not be informed of that.
Yeah, right.
So I'll think about that. We might review the call tonight and give some ideas and so forth. or we might just talk about general things. But anyway, I think that, Bryce, hopefully he'll be able to continue with the community. But I think this is a major step forward for everyone. And we'd like to have him back in maybe about a month or so that he can answer more questions. I hope you got your questions answered.
Well, thank you, Derek, for your making this possible. And
you're welcome. So, hopefully over the next 2 weeks we'll decide what we can learn from Bryan, what more we can learn from him, and how we can utilize this information, this vital information, what he has set forth for us, confirmed a lot of the things that we knew already and gave us information about things that maybe we suspected. And plus we learned new things. So it's quite interesting. I thought the information about the hive mind is critical for the general public because it affects them directly, that information. So those hearing about that, it might raise an eyebrow or two to think that cities across the country are being herded into a certain type of mentality, influenced to vote certain ways. That would explain a few of these elections we've had. It would explain the crime rates in some areas. It would explain the violence that has erupted lately. Last summer we had a series of things, of violent incidents that I didn't know if it would ever settle down, but it finally did. And in this year, that Charlottesville thing was just off the hook, just unbelievable. But I feel, and maybe many others as well, this is something that was instigated. So, very interesting times in which we live nowadays, and the technologies that we're faced with. Society needs to be aware of this so that they can make decisions about these types of things. And the county of Santa Clara, the city of Oakland, and even the state of California, they're all looking at seriously at the technology as much as they can find along this line, and screening this technology and deciding whether or not the police can use this, these types of devices. The police and sheriffs and deputies, technologies of social control. I mean, if they were to hear Bryan's testimony, they're already alarmed. This would give them more reason to be alarmed.
It seems that the police forces are experimenting with a lot of different types of technologies nowadays that Bryan, that I think that some of the things that Bryan's corporation he worked for probably had similar types of technologies.
Well, probably so.
Just like the police in New York, they can have technology they can see through walls and that sort of thing. It gets really complicated. What they can do with that.
Uh-huh.
And I thank you. I've been heavily targeted myself, and it, I just feel like somebody, like when Bryan comes along, it's a ray of hope, and I hope he's going to stay safe. I think that's the most important thing. And then hopefully what can be utilized with how to utilize what he has to say to bring out the truth. And there's going to probably be a lot of resistance. But how, that's what we've been struggling with for so long. I feel like I've been targeted from almost the time I was a young child up until, from the 1950s all the way till now, and it's never ended. And I just like living in a prison without walls. Mm-hmm. In a way, I've been targeted just about everywhere I've ever been, and family members too. So when he starts talking about social engineering, and I think of the town I grew up in, and it's some of the things that I'm starting to put together that 2 years ago I didn't realize. In that regard, with the targeting that perhaps, of other generations of my family. So I hope that I think this would be a good thing to get exposed. I'm sorry, I always wanted to. My mom died 2 years ago. I always wished that, she could have some headway could have been made, but she'll never get to see my freedom. And I don't know if, she probably thought, if I'd mentioned something like being a target, that I was a nutcase or something. So, but it'd be good just to, be able to prove that the government is actually involved in this, and people, as many as now 2 million or something. That's just a kind of, and I think that's quite a possibility, because I always believe that only a small portion of us who are on the phone or on the websites or that sort of thing, we're only a small portion of the people. When you talk about the homeless populations and that, some of them might not even realize they're being targeted, and but there was two more articles that have come up recently about the Cuban hearing sonic in the embassies, Cuban embassies, and also in Russia. So, but it's just more. I think that it's just another aspect of our targeting, and if people can believe that, if they can believe William Binney about Verizon, AT&T, they, and every phone call and every email is all monitored or whatever for years and years and years in big databases, every person in the United States. Cameras every minute of our lives. We're being filmed, and that's the purpose of it. And then this social engineering fits right into that. Whatever our society is turning into, and it's like the Adolf Hitler's dream, and I think it has a lot to do with what the Nazi scientists in Germany were conjuring up, and then they were brought over the United States. Project Paperclip. Those are the kinds of the whatever. That's the secret. A lot of the secrets of what the Russians did and mind control, and the Nazis did in mind control, came to the United States. Now there's these social engineering projects going on and possibly millions of people lives being destroyed, and it's horrific. So, and I have a brother I believe is being targeted, and he's suffering it much worse than I am, and if it was just for him, something could break through to help him, it would be worth it for me. So, I'm just recently I've been thinking about some of these things like social engineering, genetics, and the town I grew up in, surrounded by all the Battelle laboratories and defense contractors and Air Force Base, and everything was military. And the whole, where I grew up in Columbus, Ohio. That's right on Broad Street, right? The lady who targeted you in your old website that you had and took it over, and all of a sudden she's disappeared. How strange. And she's from Columbus, Ohio. I don't. I think she's well, I don't like to use the word perp, but I think that you were targeted when you had to go through all these legal proceedings, and they stole your website from you. I didn't think that was right. And you faced all kinds of accusations. So, thank you, Derek. I'm going to say goodbye. I don't want to keep rambling on.
Yeah, it must be pretty late there.
I'm sorry, what is that?
I guess it's pretty late on the East Coast now.
Yes, it is. It's 12:15. So, and I guess I might as well. Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Okay, have good night. Bye.
Bye. Well, it's rather quiet tonight, and I'm going to go ahead and close up the call. Thanks, everybody, for being here. And maybe we'll be on for tomorrow night for a while as well.
Okay, thank you. Good night.
Hey, thanks.
Okay. All right, good night.